very busted. So,
Cage, one of our old cafe employees, his name was Bobby Jenkins. He would always, whenever it was like lunchtime, lunchtime and breakfast were busy times, he would always say, "Let's do this. Let's do this like Brutus." So I wanted to kick off the show today with that. Let's do this like Brutus.
Who Brutus was? Is Brutus
probably from Rocky.
Like the bad guy from Popeye? No, there's no Brutus in Rocky. There's like Bluto and Brutus in Popeye. Do this like Brutus. I guess it rhymes, sort of.
If I made a Rocky 6,
like
we don't talk about him. So welcome back to another episode of Luka's Tigers and Bronzo My Monday.
All right, so you want to tell everybody what you did? You want to tell everybody he broke Instagram? Just start right off with that. Hopefully you have it fixed by the time they hear this episode, but he broke Instagram again, folks.
Do you think it's because I put my face on Instagram? It was like, we do not want any more of this. Instagram. I made a video, and Instagram was like, mm-mm.
Yeah, dude,
sometimes we try to limit activity from from our community. Tell us if you think we made a mistake.
There are only so many times you can do this, and obviously they're doing it because somebody posted. I think somebody posted in our in one of our groups they were having issues also. And Preston Amato came in and was like, "Yeah, you can't. There's a limit to how many times you can post, but you only posted one thing, so I don't know what's going on. So hopefully we can get that fixed, guys. It's only happened once to us before. Andrew broke it for like 2 weeks. I don't know what he was doing. They thought he was a bot. But I think it's just, you know what it is? It's just, it's you had a video and it was just those eyes. It got too many views and those eyes broke the internet. That's what it was. Andrew at the National, guys, he was getting a lot of comments about his baby blues. It's a lot of fun. Little baby blues. Look how ready he is.
I'm blushing.
He's blushing.
I'm blushing.
Made him blush.
I don't know how to take compliments. What do I do? What do I do with my hands?
So funny. You just keep them in your pants, pal. Keep them in your pockets. So we can do a little recap. We can do a little fun. I got a play today. We got some fun stuff there, and we can talk about it. But listen, I cut you off. Why don't you let the folks know, what you posted, what the post that was that broke it, and tell them some of the folks who have kind of like sort of agreed to come on, some of the people who, people have requested we're going to try to get. Tell them your idea.
Sure. You could hear me okay?
I can hear you fine. Let me as an intro. I'm not going to say anything about what the topic is, what your idea was, but
100%.
Guys, we talked about yesterday a bunch of stuff, right? About how, how you never know who you're going to see. You never know whether or not there's going to be first hobby interaction, and that, folks at the show, folks who do what we do, you kind of almost have a responsibility to kind of show up all the time because that might be your only interaction with somebody. Just to kind of double down on that, it kind of goes along the same lines, right? Andrew has always said to me, right, just when you think you're doing everything that needs to be done, just when you think that you're putting out max effort, right? When it's a time where people think they were successful, right? Just double down the efforts, right? You don't stop until you actually won. You don't stop at halftime. It's like Kobe, right? You got your Kobe sayings.
Job's not finished.
Job's not done, man. Job's not done. Job's not finished, right? So, and with this, the job's never going to be finished. So, we're coming back from National, and hopefully you guys can hear. I got my voice back. I got my magic juice. I got a little 2-liter bottle of Dr. Pepper right here, rocking and rolling. A lot of people are going to want to rest. A lot of people they made their trades, they made their deals. They're going to rest this week. They did the National. They walked 18,000 steps a day, like Guy did.
That's incredible.
Lost 7 pounds. It was a great diet going to the National.
I don't know how this happened, guys.
Forgetting to eat.
Cage walked 18,000 steps. I worked out twice a day, and one of them was a jog or a walk, and I only got 15,000 steps.
Yep. Because, dude, I was at the show while you were taking a nap and playing around in the spa. I was at the show from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. every day, and I didn't have a table. I was just going up and down the aisle, saying hi to people, handing out slabs, seeing what people had, making deals, making trades. And, it was my first time there. I'm going to squeeze it. I didn't even think I saw everything anyway. It wasn't until the last day that I knew that the aisles had numbers on them. I am a bonehead. But yeah, man. So people came back.
I had no idea either.
Yeah, people come back here and like, oh, we got to rest. We're gonna rest. No, what we decided to do, Andrew says, we're not gonna rest. We're gonna go the other way. We're gonna double down. We're gonna have we're gonna have a marathon week. So shoot.
I'll tell you. This is I hear you and I appreciate you saying that, but like, this is a project from the heart, and I've done a lot of shows. I used to work shows back in like my sales days, 2013, 14, 15. The vibe at the show is different. And it's just for one basic reason. People have fun doing it. You know what I mean? Like you've been to shows, you've been to lawyer conventions. How stuffy is it? You know,
Very.
the day after the show, no one wants to talk about law or anything. I don't think that's the case at all. I think people want to share their experiences. So I got to think, like, I just thought, like, if I wasn't at the show, what would I want to experience? I would want to get a chance to hear the perception and the experiences of people who were at the show, who had tables, who met a lot of people. And we got fortunate, Cage. I still don't necessarily understand why people kind of fuck with us, but grateful that they do. And I'm like, well, if you like me, I know our community would love to hear from you. They'd love to hear from your experience, and we do a show every day anyway. So I wanted to do something kind of cool, and it was 5 guest episodes in 5 days. Right after the national, get a different take, a dealer, women, men, young, old, just different perspectives, right? Because you could see a million things. You could see the same thing, but different perspectives. But then I was like, there's too many people in the hobby for 5 days. So we stretched it to 10 days, 10 guests in 10 days. And my goal is for the people that weren't able to attend the hobby to get the vibe, right? Because leaving national, I think everyone's extremely, extremely optimistic. But I think we would be stupid to forget that there are people that weren't at national and they're a part of this hobby too. They spend the money, they invest time, they watch content. And I want them to feel a part of what we're doing here and what we're growing. So for me, I appreciate what you said, but this is a passion project. I think people will appreciate it. I think it's going to be really fun to talk to some people.
I'm excited about it because, listen, I missed parts of the show, right? And that was me running around like craziness. I didn't see it all. I could have used 3 of me, right? But these people all come at it from a different perspective too. They were there, they were marketing, they were buying. You never know what comes up to their table. So I have enough stories from the national to give us 20 episodes right now. And that's not what their stories are, right? So it's great to hear it from another perspective, from someone who had a table, from someone who was there buying, from someone who was there selling, from someone who was there promoting their company, et cetera, et cetera. It would be nice to hear that. And at the end, ask each and every one of them, based on what they saw there, what do they think going forward? How does it impact their view and that kind of stuff? And that's cool because you get more than just from us.
And guys, I've done sales my whole life. And I told Cage today, it's like Outbound Monday. But this is how I know the hobby's fun and how much people love it. I've already so I started doing this, 3 hours ago? Carvin Chung, committed. PWCC Jesse, committed. Rips, committed. Coffee Breakers, Lenhart and Dan Fleischman, committed. Our amazing partners, Zablo and Bleecker, committed. Black Jaded Wolf, committed. I mean, I'm probably even missing a few names.
Well, listen,
that's all in 3 hours.
It sounds like it's going to turn into a 10 and 10 days. I think you got more than 5 there.
Oh, it's going to be 10 and 10 days. It might go longer than that, but and maybe we'll do like a 2 a day because people want to hear Coffee and Cage. But I think it'll be fun. I really do. I think it's going to be so much fun. I'm excited to have the combos. It's going to be actually kind of cool. Maybe it will lead into East Coast National because that's not too long from now, Cage. It's 20 days, 25 days from now?
Yeah, something like that. August 24th. I mean, isn't it August 21st, 22nd? It's less than 3 weeks.
And I wouldn't be surprised if it has, obviously not the same turnout, but New York is huge. And there's a lot of collectors in that tri-state area. I hope people don't have to fly into LaGuardia because that would be a disaster. When are they going to fix LaGuardia?
LaGuardia is not bad now. LaGuardia,
really?
they just fixed it. As a matter of fact, even Scott Greenberg from Starstock, who I was stuck on a plane that didn't actually fly anywhere, he said the same thing. It's very spread out, but it's beautiful. It really is. They fixed it up. There's like water effects, like fountains, like in Las Vegas, just right there in the middle of the public square. I mean, LaGuardia was fine. LaGuardia's nicer than O'Hare.
Is there an airport on Long Island? No, you fly into LaGuardia or JFK.
There's Islip, but it's smaller. It's a smaller airport. If you can get a flight, guys, just a little fun one into Islip. Southwest flies there. If you can get a flight into Islip, that would be fantastic. And you're very close. You avoid the traffic because you're coming in from the east into Hofstra, and it is a small airport. It's very easy to get in and out of. It's just not a lot of flights, in and out of there. It's much smaller.
If you guys want, Cage, if you could fly your private into the Hamptons, Cage will be there the week before East Coast National. If you guys want to have a party, anything like that, his house, you can't miss it.
Private jets. I only do big private jets, not small private jets. I need a big private jet.
All right, so we had a little fun. So, okay, that's the 10 guests, 10 days. Thank you for queuing me up to that. It's honestly, it's for our community. I always say that. And that's what makes the pitches easy, guys, because I try to reach out and very personally. Like, I don't want to just get guests. I want to get guests that people will love. And it's easy to sell because our community is so engaged. Shameless plug. I didn't want to forget this because I learned a fun fact. So the way podcasts get ranked on Spotify and Apple is by reviews. So guys, I know we have a ton of listeners, over 1,000 listeners per day at this point, probably even higher than that. Please leave a review on Apple or Spotify. That's how we get ranked. I had no idea. I don't think we've ever asked people to leave a review. But if you got any value, if you enjoy this, please leave a review. It'll mean a lot to us.
Yeah, we never. Well, one time I asked when I was reading them, they were mad at me. They told me to stop cursing, which I think I've cursed like 4 times in over a year. Only when I'm very excited.
My best friend met you, and he was like, "Wow, he's the nicest guy that curses a lot."
I do curse a lot. I curse, but not on the show. I do because people were like it's a family show. So, and I know we have people listen to this with kids. And yes, they tell me the kids have heard worse, but still,
you gotta understand. The guy grew up in Brooklyn, raised in Staten Island. He's a New Yorker. That's how they talk.
That's it. That's the deal. My foul-mouthedness cost me a card. I bought an F1 card this weekend, a small one. I paid like $30 for it. I while we were filming the documentary, we finally met the Slab Stocks guys, and they came up and they had, what was his name, Oscar, I think, the little guy. And he came up, and I forgot he was there, and I was just dropping F-bombs like left and right. And I'm like, sorry, dude. And they're like, no, he curses as much as you do. I'm like, all right, well. So I saw him later on. I had just bought the card. He's over there at the Slab Stocks table, and I gave him the card. Told him I was sorry for cursing so much. He was happy. So now I don't have any F1 cards, but I did buy one.
Let's talk about something. Let's have some fun. We'll get into our play after this.
Yep,
so we were just talking with Cage offline on the phone. I don't know why I called it offline, but we were talking on the phone, and I was saying we were thinking about Mahomes as an investment, just in general, right? Long term, short term. Who do you think is a better investment? I'm curious what Luka Nation will say about this too. Giannis or Mahomes? And as I've been thinking about it, I mean, this is like 1 hour ago that we talked. They have really similar resumes, right?
Mm-hmm.
MVP, won championship, a lot of promise, young. People love them, huge fan base. I'd argue that other than Cage, no one really dislikes Mahomes. And not many people dislike Giannis either. So to me, they're a really interesting comp. And from my perspective, Mahomes' prices are way higher than Giannis's across the board, especially record sales. Other than that one logo man that Lior from Alt has, most record sales have been LeBron, vintage Babe Ruth or Mantle, Mahomes, Brady, Luka, even with that logo man, was higher than the Giannis. What do you think? Who's a better short-term and long-term investment?
I'd say Giannis. It probably surprises you. There was a lot of Mahomes in the show. There's a lot of Giannis. There's a lot of Mahomes in the show. Did I tell the story yet about the case that had the Jordans? I never, with the National, that was kind of my brain is swimming in Diet Dr. Pepper. So we were up to a table, and if I told the story, I apologize. But if not, it's a good one because this surprised me. This was one of those like I want to make sure you get this, guys, because this is lesson learned, right? Because I would think Giannis is not a play, right? Normally, I'd say Giannis is not a play because his cards are everywhere, and they're not as pop as they don't have as high a pop as like Zion and Luka, but they're not exactly rare, right? So we're sitting in front of a table, and one of the showcases there, and the guy has various grades of Michael Jordan rookies for the top third, let's call it, right? Maybe even more, top half, 40%, whatever it may be. The 86 Fleers in various grades, got some stars, and then under that, he's got a whole bunch of Kobe rookies, right? Some chromes, a bunch of Kobe cards, you name it. And the only card that he had that wasn't Kobe or Jordan in there, on the bottom right, the very bottom right of the case, he had a Giannis Prism PSA 10. Just one, in like an old slab, right? He found his way into the case. There was a little kid looking at the cards, and I was expecting he was like ogling over like the Michael Jordan rookies or maybe some of the Kobe rookies. And he's looking at it, and I said, hey, buddy, what's your favorite card? What's your favorite card in there? What's your favorite guy? And he picked up his finger and went like this. And he went right to the Giannis. Said, I like that guy. Which was, I guess I shouldn't be surprised by it, right? But here's a little kid in the hobby. He's not watching Kobe. He's not watching Jordan. He hasn't figured that out yet. He probably didn't watch Last Dance, right? Maybe he knows who Kobe is, but he's not watching him play and hasn't watched him play because the kid was like, probably 10 years old. Giannis is going to be who these kids in the hobby are watching now. Giannis is going to be that guy. And if Giannis turns into a multi-time champion, you name it, then the way that you talk about Kobe and the way that I talk about Jordan, these kids may be talking about Giannis. You know, there's a little Steph. People talk about Steph too. Everybody loves Steph. But I think Giannis has the potential. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but the potential to turn into that guy for these kids. Now, on the flip side, so does Mahomes. So why do I go with Giannis? Two things, two reasons. Number one, I go with the NBA over the NFL. Much more global, much better marketing, and it seems to have much more play in the hobby. Bigger fan base, a little more demand, you name it. But the bigger one, Giannis has already had the dip. Giannis's cards went up, lost some momentum, and they're now starting to work their way back up because of a championship, right? That is important, right? Because you have that steady climb, that momentum, then the crash. The crash is bad when that crash happens. And you want to be buying it when it's working its way back up. And it's working its way back up now because of fundamentals, right? Just like a stock, right? It's built on hopium. It's built on hot air, right? It does its little tank, and it's working its way back up based on fundamentals. Great. Mahomes has never stopped doing that. Mahomes has never gone up, right? And it may continue to, right? But right now, you'd be buying Mahomes on a continued up. Never a break, always up. Even when he had his knee injury, a while back, it took a brief little pause and then continued on its way up. There will come a time where Mahomes is going to have that little, maybe he doesn't make the AFC championship game this year. Something doesn't break right. I'm not just saying injury. They'll have a setback and that card will drop, right? If that doesn't happen, if you're a Mahomes believer and you just think he's going to continue to win MVPs and Super Bowls every year, all right, then get on it. Then his prices aren't they aren't too high. But Mahomes is priced for perfection. Giannis is up, right? And people are asking for basically 100% increase on where they were when you picked it for $1,200, right? That's high and it's gone up, but it's significantly lower than its peak, than it's high. We've already seen it go up, and it's not one that has a lot of pop. A little bonus on the two is Mahomes is 17. There is more supply on the Mahomes cards, like the Mahomes, rookie cards. There's more select. There's more all these different options to buy. They were already starting to ramp up the printing presses at Panini by the time Mahomes was a rookie. It's not 18, 19, 20. It is 17. But there's less Giannis out there, and I think there's, the Giannis cards for those stated reasons would be where I put my money.
So let's dig into that, because oftentimes we talk about pop reports. We don't look at BGS pop reports too. And I think it's important to do so, which, by the way, if anyone out there is listening that works for BGS, another area for opportunity. You guys could really, really improve your pop reports. But Cage, so there's 2,800 graded Giannis cards from 2013, okay? Mm-hmm. By BGS. 19 black labels, which is kind of crazy to even think about, right? 19 black labels, 250 BGS 10s, and 1,900 BGS 9.5s. Okay, you got those numbers?
Yep.
1,900 9.5s, 250 10s, and 19 black labels. Now, same card in PSA, 2,600 10s, 1,144 9s. So to me, and I'm curious if you agree with this, the BGS 10 is an interesting play. As much as I really dislike that company, they haven't done much for consumers. I'm not going to get into that, but the 10 to me is a really interesting play because we went up to the booth. I think we went up to it together, and some guy quoted me on the 10, $3,500, right? Mm-hmm. Well, the night of them winning the championship, someone sold a Giannis card for $3,400. Okay, one guy from our community. So the price on that card hasn't gone up a ton. Yet it's so much more rare, and it still even has that opportunity to get bumped, turned into a black label if you get fortunate. I'm not saying you will. That to me is a good play. I know there's a lot of more PSA 10s. Do you think that's a safe play?
Can I tell you why I don't? No, I don't like BGS, so it's not a safe play for that reason. Not the Giannis.
Even black labels. To you, black labels mean nothing.
So black labels is a big deal. But here's why I don't like BGS in and of itself, right? Everyone complains 9.5 used to be so close to the 10. 9.5 used to be so, and now it's like so nothing. The more you think about BGS, a 9.5 is the third best grade you can get. And the gold 10s to me are almost a waste. right? Like there should be a
You're
10.
talking about SGC?
No, I'm talking about the gold 10s, just the
Oh, the
non-perfect,
pristine.
non-pristine
Gotcha.
10s, right? So there's
Gotcha.
so there's a pristine, and then there's like a black label. You know, like
Gotcha.
why? And I understand it's because if you get 3 10s and not you can't give it a 9.5. You know, there's got to be something that where there's 3 10s that they have to do it with subgrades. But that's where the subgrades kind of get stupid, to me, right? Because now there's multiple 10s. You know what I mean? Like if you're gonna spring for the 10, I want a 10. I want a black label. The black label has some real fun to it, right? Those are crazy, crazy prices, right? Because they're so rare, and I get that. But to me,
And honestly, the label looks kind of cool too.
yeah, but it's almost too much. It's almost too much to have a 9.5, and then there's different layers of 9.5s, min gems, true gems, you know, gem plus, and then see, you know, above 9s you have like 3 different versions of 9.5s and then 2 different versions of 10s. Why do you have 5 levels? You know, so to me,
That's an interesting point, by the way. Like people listening, you know, we always look at things in grades and compare like a 9.5 in BGS to a, let's say, a 10 or a 9 in PSA. But if you actually think about it, compared to its own company, right?
Yeah.
Look at a Min Gem, 9 subgrade 395s. That's the 5th highest grade possible for that company.
Yep.
That would compare to like a BGS 7, PSA 7 or PSA 8.
Right. I mean, there's
Kind of
subs, there's 8.5s and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, it's
10, 9, 8, 5, 8, 7.
Yeah. It's so subgrades are great, right? There are people who love them and they let you know what's going on with the card and you know why the edges, this and that. But to me, you know, some of the PSA simplicity is what goes a long way. And I know I don't want to go down the rabbit hole of like Mike Baker and like different levels between the 10s. I had a ridiculous argument at 3:30 in the morning with somebody wearing an absurd shirt that, I mean, it was like, I guess he came from
I know exactly. Jafar.
I mean, Jafar is his name?
Yeah,
No,
Shy's
it's not.
friend. Shyway Vlogs friend.
No.
Yeah,
Jafar?
Shyway Vlogs friend. He's an awesome kid.
Like,
That's nothing but the lab.
like that kind of Jafar?
That was impressive.
Like that? Like Aladdin?
Did I just cue you up for that?
Is that Jafar, like the bad guy in
I mean-
Aladdin? That's his name?
That's his name actually, but he's
That's
a
awesome.
good dude.
By the way, let's give him some credit. He wore a shirt I will never get away with wearing, not just because it's 4 sizes too small for me, because he's built like a wet noodle, but because I couldn't get away with wearing a shirt like that because I don't frequent those type of clubs. So yeah, but anyway, I got into a nice argument with him because he was telling me he had the best Kobe card in the world because it had Mike Baker's diamonds on it. I don't know what the hell that means. Again, I guess we went down a rabbit hole anyway about Aladdin. So it is what it is. But yeah, I mean, I don't want to get into it. The point is, Beckett, you got too many different little levels. If a card's 9.5, right, it shouldn't be your 5th best card. It shouldn't be your 5th best grade, right? And it is. You know, a Min Gem 9.5, you have levels, 4 levels above that, right? The regular True Gem, Gem Plus, 10, and then Black 10, right? So, to me, it's so confusing. It just is, and I just give me a PSA 10. Just give me a PSA 10 and let me go. Just the PSA. Here you go, PSA 10. So that's it. So is there a market for it? Sure. If you give me a black Giannis, a black label Giannis BGS, sure, I'm paying more than a PSA 10. So you give me a 10 in BGS, given the numbers you gave, where there's 10% of BGS 10s, the gold label 10s, than there are in PSA 10s. Sure, I think there should be a premium for that BGS 10. I think sometimes though you get a little like a PSA 10. It could be a BGS 10.
For
Who
sure.
knows? It's the top level of that grading company. A BGS 10 where I'm going to pay a premium for it, I already know it's not the best one that BGS has graded. And to me, that makes it a little tough, right?
And if it's a BGS 10 and there's one in the world and there's no black labels and there's a ton of 9.5s, then there is also some value there. I think the discussion in and of itself, because here's the thing that I realized at the show, it's not just about knowing what to buy, it's knowing how to buy it, right? Like, okay, I want to buy Giannis. Okay, but which card?
Yep.
And what grade? With what company? What do you look for? So that analysis in between companies and understanding nuance is super important. So I'm glad we did go down that rabbit hole. And I think
my
we're gonna,
apologies to Yago about making fun of his shirt. I didn't mean to do that. I apologize. I don't, it's a different shirt, right?
it's all love. So we'll get into your play. Where would you buy? I know you're not an auto guy. Would you buy Giannis autos? Where would you look for his Prism Silver?
You said to buy. I should be buying the Prism Silver, and
I
you
love
told me
that
to do
car.
it. It was like $21,000 to buy the Prism Silver, and
Right.
we didn't see any at the show below like 40 grand. I'm like, God damn it! Why don't I listen to Andrew more? He's like Jiminy Cricket, man, and I'm just that stupid Pinocchio who keeps winding up on the island, turning into a donkey.
I would honestly buy the 9 of that card. So there's only 75 PSA 10s and 71 PSA 9s. When that happens, a 9 could double as quick as a 10.
Yep.
So like,
I like
it's just
the
a
silver.
lower price. It's a lower price point. I like the silver too. All right, what's your play?
So it was LJ's cards. I mean, you take a look at the LJ cards. You take a look at my last post, right? Where, I mean, you could tell, guys, I apologize. I was hurting with the voice. I mean, I did to myself. I didn't really sleep too much. Didn't really eat too much. But I was having some cigars.
Lost 6 pounds.
We were
Lost 6
celebrating.
pounds.
Yeah, I lost some weight. We were celebrating. We were having some fun. So I lost my voice a little bit during this because, I didn't stop talking. I was talking to everybody I could. We still did episodes every day. I was talking to a lot of people, talking to dealers, talking to, we have meetings, talking to everybody, talking to anybody who came up, giving out free slabs. But at one point in time, I'm walking with Tony Harley, one of our Luka Nation members, one of our listeners. And, we were looking at different cards, you name it. And I happened to notice as we were at a table that a guy was opening up a cooler behind their table and pulling out a bottle of water from stuff. And I saw a beautiful, pristine 10, like gem mint, Mike Baker, Black Diamond approved can of Diet Coke. And I was like, hey, how much for the Diet Coke? And they're like, hey, this guy wants to know how much for the Diet Coke. And I'm like, yeah, how's $10 sound? And I hold up a 10. I'm like, I will buy that Diet Coke for $10. Because it's $6 for a bottle all the way across the show. I'll just take it, keep looking at cards. So they're like, yeah, give them the Diet Coke. Like, they didn't charge me anything. So I bought this card. This is Wander Franco. And this is the Mojo. The Mojo. It's Wander running, Chrome, Wander Franco. They come in the mega boxes. See this kind of like, wavy line stuff that goes through a mega box? Yeah, go ahead.
Is Mojo for baseball, like Bowman's Chrome, similar to Mojo for Prism?
Sort of. It's almost the same type of look, right? It's almost the same type of look, right? So I call it Mojo because it'll look
out of 25.
Mega box. No, it's not out of 25. This is mega box. So there are out of 25. Like there's an auto from the mega box of him with a different pose that is out of 25. But this is basically those mega boxes that come from like Target, Walmart, and that kind of stuff. There's definitely more than 25 of these. So Wander did not get off to a great start, and his cards have not really flown the way that a lot of people thought they would. They've even taken a little bit of a step back. The 3 ones that I'd look at are all this pose. You see, it's Bowman first, right? The 3 that I'd look at, the Bowman first right here. The 3 are the Bowman Chrome like this, which right now you can get if you're savvy, right around $100, right? Which is not that expensive for this guy. Then you have this one. I paid $270 for this one, right? That's an expensive Diet Coke. But the guys were really nice, and I had to make sure I bought something. And it's actually a good price. It wasn't what they had it stickered for. So I paid a little bit less.
And the way you guys do that.
Wait, it might have been stickered, actually, $270. I paid $250, actually. Go ahead.
And the way you guys do that is at your next show, you have a piece of paper, you write the number down, and you slide it across the table.
We'll get to that. So the third option on this is there is a refractor of it. I think it's numbered at $499. These guys had one for $900. I didn't want to pay that much for a Diet Coke, but since it's numbered, it's a pretty cool card, and that is, obviously that's the better way to do it. I would have been more around $700. I think the comps on it are like $750, $780, something like that. Those are obviously the 3 levels to get Wander. I think this guy has a huge future. He's going to be fantastic. He started off with the first game he had great. He's not hitting right now. And I talked to at the show one of the guys who I know, who I think knows baseball and prospects better than anybody in the game. We'll give him some credit. My friend from Slabstock Nate, he's the one who turned me on before we even had a podcast to Tatis. How Tatis was a value, and it's part of the reason I started really buying into Tatis. Give him credit for that. And we were talking about, he's like, look, if you had money right now, basically put it into Wander Franco cards because he has not taken off the way they're supposed to, but it's only a matter of time. This guy is about as sure of a sure thing as you can get in baseball. He's going to be great. So I trust him 100%. He knows baseball. He knows prospecting. And I've watched some of his games. He's got 5-tool capabilities. He is a really good player. He's going to be very, very good for a very long time. Now, the paper.
Real quick, I have a question for you.
Shoot.
When someone comes out the gate with a home run in their debut, it would seem that people would want to buy him at that time, but all they have is room to go down. Like, he came out with a bang.
And he came down.
And then that's basically the expectation that we keep talking about, right? So it's like, I don't know how to explain it. It's such a phenomenon, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is it almost better for a player to come on slow and then hit a hot streak versus come out with a bang and then kind of have a lull period and growing pains?
I agree. It's like talking about how it's priced for perfection, right? You know what I mean? Like everything's got to keep going right to keep that up, to sustain it, because you start off at a high. I think we're close to that, if not there already for Mahomes. We're close to that if we're not there already for Ohtani prices. By the way, I haven't looked in a while. How many home runs has Ohtani had? We're approaching a month, right? So he had 30.
I'll look it up while you tell the story about the paper.
Sure. He was 33 at the break, right? And there's, probably only about 60 games left. So it would be interesting to see, where he runs up.
He's four home runs, 37.
He got 4 home runs in almost a month. We're approaching a month. That's a pretty slow month. I'm not going to say I'm right yet, but...
When's the last month when you hit 4 homers, Cage? This month? Literally. July, you hit 4 homers?
Well, I hit 4 home runs for Luka, Tiger, LeBron podcast this weekend. I hit nothing but dingers. I hit dingers. So my thing. So I'm working a deal with Sasha. I'm stupid, huh? I don't hit dingers. You know what that is?
You picked that up?
Yeah, of course, dude. Come on now. You got great audio. I'm the only one on iPhone 3. If those never existed. So Sasha, there's a cool video out. It was a little different because he lost all the audio, which is good because I think I was cursing up a storm. So it's good that he lost that audio. But he did like a voiceover, and he gave me a couple. I'm gonna say compliments. How it was a cool negotiation, different than he ever done. He had some fun doing it. I've known Sasha for a while. First time meeting a lot of people. And
in the negotiation, did he agree to let go of the cards he's been holding ransom of yours?
No, he still has some cards that he sent in for grading for me. I'll get them back at some point in time. I mean, it's a lot of Marvel and like a Tyler Hero. So I can't wait to see what the Tyler Hero grade is. Hopefully it's an 11. Otherwise, I'm losing money. So I mean, this is what it is. Hopefully, PSA somehow sends me back a BGS Black Label 10. otherwise, I'm losing money on that Tyler Hero. So even that, I'm probably still losing money on it. But yes, I didn't even mention that to him. I didn't even mention it because whatever. No one wants to hear that stuff. I mean, we all know PSA is backlogged. So, we have our own cards backlogged from our grading. So, I kind of know that it's going to take a while. And so anyway, he wanted to do certain cards at like 75% and like agree on comps. And he started with a piece of paper actually, and he started writing on a piece of paper like, okay, this is what we agree to, like per card. Like this one, the comp is 7,500. This one, the comp is, what do you want to do this? He wrote like 3 numbers on the top. And then after we just started throwing cards down on the table, I'm like, let me just give you a number for the whole thing. Write it on there. And then he, of course, would write a number back. It was sort of like, car salesman kind of deal, right? And to get to my number, I had a number I wanted to get to. I just kind of kept adding stuff to the deal. What he left out, he said I threw something in. I actually gave him something after the deal. I actually gave him a card after the deal. Like, we were done. We settled on our number. I think he did well. So it's funny. I said to him afterwards, I'm like, you happy? And he's like, not really. And I'm like, me neither. So I know that's a good deal. Like that, when you mediate a case, basically, right? No party should leave the table like high-fiving. Like everybody should feel like they got most of what they wanted, but not everything. Like they had to give something. That's a good part of the deal. Like that means that you struck a deal that it's where it should be, because nobody is like, wow, I pulled one over on that guy. Like that would be bad. So that it was right in the wheelhouse of reasonable. I think he did a really good job. Pushed back on some, accepted some. I was not thrilled to lose my Trey Red. That's a color match. It's nice. But the consolation, I still have a Trey Purple out of 75 sitting in Oregon. So if I didn't have that, I might not have thrown that one in. It was a fun deal. It was definitely a good time to deal with Sasha. And yeah, when it was done, I'm like, dude, here, take this. I give my Mariano Rivera rookie PSA 10 just as a first deal. I want you to walk away happy. I don't know how easy or hard it's going to be to move the stuff. I know he immediately the next day put a story post up. Here, these are all for sale. Basically every card I gave him except for the Zard. So I'm sure he'll sell whatever he needs to sell, and he'll be into the Zard for whatever price he wants to be in. Go ahead.
Any tips for people out there the first time in the hobby? Maybe they've done 5 deals on negotiating.
Yeah, I mean, especially if you're dealing with somebody like Sasha. I mean, like I've negotiated a lot of deals all the time, and obviously he has now too, because this is what he's doing, right? He's not in a courtroom, but it's basically the same thing, right? He's not settling cases, but he's settling on a price, and a lot of life.
He's settling 4 cases.
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, like a lot of this comes down to a number, right? Something's worth something. There's a deal that works for everybody, right? And it's really you're just trying to get down to that number. The one piece of advice I'd have is, I mean, I'm confident enough to do it because I know what I want and I know what I have. If you're dealing with somebody, whether you're a buyer at a show, younger kid at the show, or you're dealing with a dealer or someone like Sasha, someone like that, more often than not, let's say the person on the other side of that deal is going to have more experience in that type of negotiation than you. The first thing I would tell you is know what you want and be ready to walk away. Several times he was like, I'll give you this for this. And I'm like, no, I'm not doing that for that price. But here's, so one, know what you want and be willing to say no, right? So don't cave that way. But 2, also, the flip side to that is be willing to kind of pivot the deal a little bit. Always have something else, because while 1-to-1 on one item, you and the person you're working with might not be able to agree on a number, but if you add another layer or 2 to it, then they might value one of those additional pieces a little more than your bottom line is. And maybe then the deal itself combined reaches something that you're okay with and they're okay with, even though you might not have been there with just the one item. Always have a little more to add to it, be a little more flexible. And 3, once you're adding more to it, at least the way I work, the bigger the deal, the better I try to do for somebody, obviously. Bulk discount. I mean, once somebody's willing to now take a deal and make it from 500 to 1,000 to 1,500 to 2,000, once you're getting more and more in there, I'm willing to, hey, I don't really want to pay that. I'd like to pay $20 less on that. Okay, I could take $20 off of a 4-figure deal. Let's just make it work, But if it was just one card and it was a couple $100, I'd be less likely to take that $20 off, because $20 is 10% there rather than 1% of a larger deal. So there's kind of the way that I look at it there. I will tell you, a lot of fun. I mean, that was one of the more fun parts of the deal. I didn't really do too many deals. I sold some cards, I made some trades, that kind of stuff. But that was obviously a huge deal for me. And I don't know, probably a small deal for Sasha when you compare him. This is what he does all the time. But it was fun. It was definitely fun. I mean, I hope that helps. Is there some tips there for the folks doing some deals?
1,000%. Sorry, I was researching my plays.
Researching your plays. What were you going to tell me? Did you look something up for me? You were looking up something. I forget. Did we get there? Did you get the number? I don't even remember. Oh, dude, there's somebody kind of hanging out behind you. They got a little pink and something. What are they going, like sliding down the mountain with that thing? It's like a sled. What are they doing? I don't even remember what I was asking you to look up. I talk a lot.
I don't remember what you asked me to look up. If Luka Nation.
Oh, no, you looked it up. It was 4 home runs for Shohei. He only has 37.
What? Why can't I figure this out? I'm trying to find the pop report. Okay, so I'm going to get into my play.
Was your play Giannis and I talked you out of it?
Nope.
Honest. Your play was going to be Giannis, and I clued you into the fact that a BGS 9.5 is basically a PSA 3. So, so now you're not doing it?
No, I have a favorite play from the National for all 3 sports. Okay?
Sweet.
So this was a cool one. I'll start with baseball. One of our Luka Nation members picked it up, posted it on his page, and I thought this was cool. So this first one is just kind of like a fun play. I want to hear your thoughts on it because I think you're going to hate it.
Nice.
But
I can't wait for that.
Cool. He picked up 2 Tatis PSA 10 rookies with an on-card auto, also graded PSA 10. What do you think of that? So I know the ones that you don't like that are on-card auto,
I
but
think
this one,
that's
the
cool.
card is graded a 10 and the auto is graded a 10.
So, one of our guys, Boston Authentic, does that a lot. I don't know if that's who picked it up or whatever it is, but he has a lot of cards like that. He's got a
That's
Trout.
exactly it.
So he's got a Trout. I didn't know that he picked this up, but I know he has a Trout update that is
Yes, he does.
basically he's ordered, like a PSA DNA, the whole deal. I got to tell you, I don't mind it if it's something you want for your own collection. If that's what you like having a perfect card and a perfect auto on that card. To me now, you're swinging that more into memorabilia. You're swinging that more into autographed ball territory, autographed jersey territory, autographed memorabilia territory than card territory. I know it's a combination of both, and maybe that's a cool kind of segue between the two or a cool bridge between the two. I don't have any problem with it at all, but I think what you're doing is you're limiting your market for it, right? I think that there's a lot of people who would be willing to pay 100 and change for a Tatis PSA 10. I think there's a lot of people who'd be willing to pay X amount of money. I don't know what it is, but X amount of money for a Tatis auto. I don't know whether or not there is a huge market for Tatis auto on that card. But if it's something you like, go right ahead. Go for it. The Trout sort of gets into different territory now because you've now taken a card that was $3,000 that people are willing to pay three and change for in PSA 10. And I think you've probably lessened the amount of people who would pay you $3,000 for that card. And you might, I don't know what the answer is, but if you ask me, this is going to sound ridiculous, but if you put the PSA 10 Trout in front of me and you put a PSA 10 Trout with a PSA 10 auto that is hand signed, like someone signed the card in front of me, I'm paying more for the one that's not signed. Because to me, that's not a 10 anymore. It's a 10 that you ruined. That's a PSA 9 MK because it's got 10 on it now.
Before you guys out there go crazy and send Cage hate mail, I think this is why the hobby is so cool. Because there's two different ways to collect, right? There's people that love rookie cards and collecting, and there's people that love memorabilia and artifacts.
Yep.
And both are right.
Yep.
And both have a place to exist. And I think when they coexist, the hobby gets bigger. When NFTs come in, when all these things that complement each other, I think it's great for the hobby. So you're a true card collector. There's other guys who are memorabilia guys. My next play, this is fun, Cage. And I think I hope people look at this stuff because this stuff is what I look at. And I think this is where you can find opportunities in arbitrage. Okay. So I'm going to give you guys two cards. First is the Jason Tatum Prism from 2017. The second card is the Kyler Murray Prism from 2019. Now, base and silver, we're going to look at both of those. Okay. So for the Tatum, there's 10,000 rookies base cards graded. 5,000 are PSA 10s, and there's 1,100, almost 1,200 silvers, and 700 are 10s. Okay, Cage?
Mm-hmm.
You got those numbers?
Yep.
Cool. 10,000 base, 5,000 PSA 10s, 1,200 silvers, 718 10s. Mm-hmm. Kyler, 392 silvers, 155 10s, 5,718 base, 2,248 10s.
Okay.
So here's my play. My play, looking at those numbers, the silver is way lower pop for Murray and a tougher grade, 40%, 35% gem rate, 40%. So the silver I'm looking is $2,000, but the Jason Tatum silver is $2,500. Remember we went to the table? So I go Kyler Murray Prism Silver, PSA 10. That's one play. Then I go look at the base, and I say, about 50% gem rate on both of these.
Both of them.
But the Kyler Murray 10 is 400, 425. Tatum is 350 or best offer. I go Tatum base. So looking at those
there's so
numbers,
much more Tatum base, though, right? There's 5,000 Tatum base, you said.
Yeah, there's a lot more. But the gem rate's still the same.
Okay.
I think that there's more. I think that there's double the demand for Tatum that there is for Kyler Murray, just in terms of the sport and all that stuff.
No argument.
But you could sub a different player in there as well. But I think it's important to look at that because to me that shows. Then I compare it to the prices. The silver Kyler Murray Prism PSA 10 is a play, and the Tatum PSA 10 base is the play. So those are my last two plays. So you guys have Tatis on card auto PSA 10 rookie, Tatum base Prism PSA 10, Kyler, Silver, Prism, PSA 10. Those
I'm
are
going to
the.
say something, and then I'll let you have the last word on this. I'll mute it, and I'll come back on to say goodbye.
I've said all I need to say.
It's on your play. So you said that Giannis had the most to gain or lose this year, like Giannis winning a championship most, and I think it's very true. And I think it's good for the hobby. And I think if something happens to like Luka next year, it would be great for the hobby and the whole deal, right? So I'm going to make a statement, and you can tell me whether or not you think I'm an idiot, whether it's an overstatement, understatement, you name it. But I think the player that has the most to prove, the most to gain, and the most to lose this year in the NBA from a card perspective is Jason Tatum. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I mean, he could be a superstar. He could also be that guy who could have been a superstar. I think this is the year, I think. I mean, we'll see what happens with the offseason, where people go, and whether or not there's some super team in the East.
Yeah, but he's not a bad egg. Like, he's not a bad guy.
Oh, he's not. 100%.
So sometimes you can't rush progress and development, but like you look at him on the Olympic team, he's coming off the bench cage and he's competing every single game. So I look for stuff like that to see what someone's character is like.
You'll put your stock in him. So what year did Giannis win his first MVP?
Because you guys, don't forget, like Tatum got drafted after Simmons. Like the Sixers could have drafted Simmons and could have drafted Tatum and they took Simmons. So sorry, what were you saying?
What year did Giannis win his first MVP? Right, he's won 2, right? Or
he won 2.
Yeah. So when did he win his first?
2 MVPs, 1 Defensive Player of the Year. I think it was 2017.
So I mean,
the year.
Like his 4th or 5th year, right? I mean, that's the deal, right? So Tatum is 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. I mean, I know there's a bubble year in there, but like even Giannis, who goes out there as like, he's held out there as the guy who came into the league and he was scrawny.
2019.
So he was 19. So he came in 13. So sixth year, 7th year. We're getting to that territory now where, Tatum's that type of player, but Tatum came into the league as a top talent, already basically, built, ready to go, you name it. And Giannis, Giannis is held out there as the project, the guy that came along. He wasn't, he was most improved and then like built into this, right? So Tatum got a head start, right? So you'd expect, I'm not saying he has to win an MVP this year. I'm not saying he has to win an MVP next year, but you're at a point now with someone like Tatum where, the prices you're talking about, the $2,000 and change silver, right? It's harder to justify that unless he starts to justify it on the court.
Let me thank you. You teed me up. I'll close with this. So, sure. Guys, we have our 10 guests in 10 days show. Please comment. Please let us know who else you want to have on the show. All the people that have responded, thank you. It's unbelievable that so many responded. I did break Instagram, so if we can't respond or anything like that, I apologize. I'll message you from my personal account. So
he's always breaking it. What are you doing?
But a lot of people don't realize this, Cage. I think this is going to blow your mind. Do you know who the last shooting guard that won MVP was?
The last shooting guard to win MVP. Oh, Derrick Rose?
Point guard.
Point guard. Yeah, sort of. Go ahead, shoot.
Michael Jordan. Like a true shooting guard. And a lot of people don't realize this. I mean, Kobe won one. I apologize. I skipped over Kobe. They had him listed as a small forward here on ESPN.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like
which isn't true.
They're fluid.
Well, let me just stay with me. I'll explain what I mean by that position because positions are tough. But it was Kobe and Jordan. And right, like James Harden, is he a shooting guard? Probably. But I'm talking about lead ball handler, right? And look at the last MVPs. Jokic, lead ball handler and scorer. Giannis, lead ball handler, scorer. James Harden, lead ball handler, scorer. Russ Westbrook, lead ball handler, scorer. Curry, lead ball handler, scorer. Kevin Durant, I think an argument could be made that Kevin Durant really is a shooting guard. Right? So that's true. But LeBron, small ball handler, passer, scorer. Derrick Rose. So, and then you get to 2008 Kobe Bryant. Why I say that is when you're a ball handler and a scorer, you impact the game in 2 ways, right? And then you also have defense, so you have 3 ways. So in the regular season, that's where you see someone's an MVP. Tatum doesn't do main ball handling duties. Maybe he will, but he doesn't. So he doesn't impact the game to the visual eye, to the fan, in 2 ways. And that's always interesting. That's why shooting guards don't win the MVP a lot.
That's great. So then should we be staying away from his cards? Because he's never going to be the guy?
I mean, if you're investing in his cards with hopes of being an MVP, then I'm just giving you some data and information that shows Kobe and MJ were the last 2 MVPs.
After listening to that analysis, unless Boston comes out and says we're going to run the offense through Tatum, I'm not buying his cards.
Yeah, but what if Boston builds a team? He's their best player,
Doesn't matter.
and they're first in the East. His cards are going to go up.
Doesn't matter. Giannis impacts the game on multiple levels. Yeah, even though he's not running the offense, it's not going through him per se. He's a defensive machine. You know what I mean? He's a defensive player of the year. If Tatum's only going to impact it on shooting and having somebody create a shot for him, then
that's nearsighted. Because Gage, you could have said the same thing about Devin Booker, and then Devin Booker's prices went up. Like he was a good investment.
Yeah, I guess. We shall see. We shall see.
This was a good episode.
Now go fix the Instagram. Go fix Instagram.
Love you, Luka Nation.
Take care,
Perfect
everybody.
timing. Cages, go get the kids.
Exactly.
Love you guys.
Thanks, everybody.